Ladies and gentlemen, my name is BKN Phenom, and the Bible says a time to be born and a time to die, to plant and to pluck up. And on the fateful day of Monday, October 20th, 2025, the Nuggets signed Christian Braun to an over $100 million contract extension that would prove to be the beginning of the end. Now, there were some other poor decisions that front office made. Mr. Calvin Booth made the whole Bruce Brown, the Zeke Naji fiasco, the Michael Porter Jr. extension, and some other decisions. And there were also some things that just did not fall in their favor, like Michael Porter Jr.'s injuries, Aaron Gordon's injury, Jamal Murray's injury, a lot of different things that just did not fall in their favor. And in that, it just looks like time is up. It looks like time is over. That is what ended up culminating in the Peyton Watson trade. It looks like the Nuggets are finished. A lot of times you just want to, just go with the young guy, just go with the upside. At the end of the day, they chose Cam Johnson over him, and it makes sense what they invested to get Cam Johnson, the fit that he has with Jokic, how he's a more proven player as opposed to the 18 games you got Watson, the money, and the second apron, which like many actually predicted, it hold the Nuggets because the second apron, it's not just about salary. If you get in that second apron, you can't combine salaries to match a trade, you can't take up back more salary than you send out, you can't use cash in trades, trade exceptions, can't sign a trade, your picks are frozen. There's a lot of different aspects that just handicap your team. I understand it completely. And that's why I'm like, look, it's not just bad front office decisions or like poor drafting or anything. It's sometimes it's just, hey, you invested in some players and they didn't just sit on their hands. They invested in some players. They might have just invested in the wrong players, So it's really unfortunate that it came down to it, that even if they kept Peyton Watson, they probably would have still been hold. And there's a genuine argument that they're even more hold because they can't make the little incremental moves like a DeMar DeRozan, which we'll get to, but it's a long shot. But them little incremental moves to get a Alfa Romeo, get a Valanciunas, get these guys on the side who can do these little things to try to improve your roster. And then the fact that they got a first round pick, you say the return wasn't what you would want for Peyton Watson, but honestly, a lot of people he hasn't proven that much. He only had like 18 really good games where he was like, okay, this guy can really be a high level, like mid-range scorer, like he can do all these other things and be a good defender. He hasn't really shown too much yet, and then didn't play in the playoffs. It was partially the injury, and it just looks rough, especially considering the Nuggets need defensive improvements, and you go ahead and sign DeMar DeRozan. But the more I looked at the DeMar signing, DeMar said, you know what, that's not bad, because number one, obviously DeMar's a perfectly serviceable player. Like he averaged an efficient 18 points per game, like 5 and 4. He can play make. He can stop the ball a little bit, but at the end of the day, he is one of the more consistent mid-range shooters in the league, and they need some type of people who can dribble the ball and create a little bit and do something with the ball in their hands, and not just, be scared of the moment, like they need some guys who can do that and alleviate pressure off other guys. And then DeMar doesn't have to be the main offensive guy, even the second main offensive guy, he could even just be 6 men off the bench and go crazy. So that aspect, I think, is an improvement, over the guys they currently have on the team. Furthermore, he's on a minimum. He's not on no $10 million, $12 million. He's on a minimum. 1 year. If it doesn't work out, hey, it didn't work out. We learn something, we move on. If it does work out, hey, hope it works out. Maybe you can stay for a little longer, but it's not a binding at all. These are the type of incremental moves that you gotta make. And then another thing is that something that I didn't realize until I looked into it was that the Nuggets were actually like an average defensive team in the playoffs. Even though they were getting fried, even though you had players themselves like Jaden McDaniels commenting, hey, the defense is sorry, and it looked sorry on screen. But when you actually go through and look at it on paper, like look at the actual statistics, statistically, they were not a horrible defensive team. They were just a mid defensive team relative to the competition. The issue was that their offense was horrible. Partly was injuries, obviously, Aaron Gordon was injured, Peyton Watson was injured. Like in the postseason, instead of 117.4, they were 113.7. Better, like they had some improvement for comparison. The Thunder were 111.9. They were in the conference finals. Now, if you look at the offense, right, offensively, boom, the Nuggets were the best offensive team in the freaking league with 122.6 offensive rating. Boom. Now, if you go on the playoffs offense, that drops off a cliff to them becoming the 10th best offense in 109.1. So I think getting DeMar on a minimum at the very least helps them. It definitely doesn't hurt when you have a guy who can pass, a guy who can shoot. Even though he's not a 3-point shooter, he still has some type of creation, and he can even set up some of the 3-point shooters on the team, right? But yeah, you do just need defensive improvements. You do need improvements in general, but I think these type of improvements to just try to stay competitive are what you need. When you look at the Knicks, they improved incremental year after year. They kept getting better added players, get an OG Anunoby here, get obviously with the Brunson and Josh Hart, get OG Anunoby, the Mikal Bridges trade, Cat and Landry Shamet, like just improving all these improvements. You gotta stay the course, right? You gotta not sit on your hands but do something. But at the same time, like you're not gonna win the chip every year, especially when you have these restrictions. You're not gonna win the chip every year. You gotta make these type of improvements. moment. So I am still on the board of like this. It looks like the run is coming to an end, and you hate to see that, but I like the fact that the front office is trying, and I think that it might not be what you want, but you got to move forward at the end of the day, right? And whether or not this is the end, we'll know. We'll see. But definitely got to stay the course, and I'm excited to see DeMar in this environment. See how if Jokic can make his life easier, if they can mesh. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited to see it.